Good day, strategy gamers, and welcome back to episode 38 of our Let's Play series, Stalingrad to Berlin, War in the East 2. Want to begin the episode with a couple of housekeeping items. We're going to be adding a new series, a new playlist, starting Tuesday, the 25th of May, is probably when the first episode will drop. And it is going to be a War in the East 2 series. So the channel is going to have two active playlists going on for War in the East 2. And I'm going to be taking you guys through a different scenario. One that we'll wait till Tuesday to reveal. And we're not going to get into quite as much explanation of like adding a new mechanic every couple of turns and some of that stuff. I'm going to be testing myself as, don't necessarily want to say an expert on the game by any means, but I feel like I'm an average player, at least now, of War in the East 2. So I just want to test myself on a new scenario, kind of starting from scratch with what I've learned from this playlist and all the feedback and help that the community has provided me. Want to give a new scenario a shot, a different one, not Stalingrad to Berlin. And see how I fare. It could go horribly wrong, or it could be very intense and a lot of fun. So that's going to be coming out on Tuesday. And when that happens, we're going to continue publishing a new video every day on the channel. However, I'm going to be having the videos alternate. So we will have an episode from this series launch on Wednesday. Thursday we go back to the new series, etc. We'll keep that pattern going. About 2 weeks from now, we're actually going to be launching another game, not War in the East 2, but still very much in the meld of this series. It will be very similar to most of you, and kind of that in-depth rivet counting type of war game that we're going to keep featuring on the channel. And when that launches, we're just going to get into a cycle of a new episode for each series every third day. So one day will be this playlist, then we'll have the second War in the East 2 playlist video drop, and then we'll have this yet to be announced game, a video from that playlist dropping on the third day, and we'll keep repeating that pattern. And that's where we'll cut it out. I don't think we're ever going to have more than 3 different concurrent playlists at a time. And we probably do still have months worth of content left on this particular campaign of Stalingrad to Berlin. We have a long ways to go until we make it to Berlin or to a victory condition. So we're going to still finish this one out. We're not dropping the series or anything like that. But we are going to keep adding some new content to keep things a little interesting, because from here on out, I don't want to discourage anyone from watching it, but we've had 38 successful episodes of teaching new mechanics and really kind of getting into the game and learning. There's only going to be so much that I can keep adding to newer listeners, and if you've watched 100 videos of this playlist, at some point there aren't going to be too many new things to learn, so I want to keep mixing it up a little. Okay, all of that housekeeping over, we are now in turn 20, which is April of 1943. We've had a lot of success, I would say, for the last 5 turns now, where we have really pushed the Germans back. We've managed to take Smolensk, we've managed to take Aryol, and we managed to take Rostov. And with that, we are putting severe pressure on Peskov, Stalino, and Idritsa, which is one of our targets as we make our way towards Riga. So all along the lines, we're having a lot of success. Another interesting twist that we've had more recently is in the last 2 episodes, we finally reintroduced the air campaign. As we have gotten into March and April, the weather has finally turned for the better. So let's start by looking at that weather report to see how things are as it stands today. And right here you see for April 1st, this particular turn we're on, we actually have, again, where the air weather is simply cold. So really the important thing to note here is there's no precipitation, and I kind of interpret it as there's not heavy winds or gusts, etc., which makes it much better weather for flying airplanes, right? When we look at the following turn, we actually see that we have some rain moving in. And looking at the map, we see that we still have some precipitation for the ground, and this continues this turn too. But in the air, it's just kind of a cold situation. So I'm not yet committing. I don't want to have this be we flip a switch and every air group under our command is aggressively fighting in the skies, because I have the strong belief that we should use as much of our air groups as possible during the much more difficult summer months, where I think we will be under more German pressure, as they attempted to historically. It was kind of their last hurrah in the summer of 43 to try to change the tide of the war. They were historically unsuccessful. I want to make sure that we don't break that pattern, and that we're able to hold back any plans or any strategies they may have. On that note, another thing that I have done, we've had some comments that have been very helpful on the playlists about the version of the game we've been using. So we have updated to the beta version of the newest release available. But also what I've gone ahead and done is you can at any time go into the game under admin and do show game options. And I've actually increased the morale level for the German player up to about 110. And it is recommended that you do that if you want a more competitive game. I would stress this strongly to players who are still getting into the series. Don't feel like just because that's the common thing to do amongst veterans that you should also step in there. I just now turned that to 110. This will be my first time playing any scenario, any turn with that morale level at 110. There's nothing wrong with just getting your feet underneath you, right? Before you up the difficulty bar. So, all of that said, we have good weather in the air. We're not going to race in by committing every airframe we have. What we're going to do is take a look at our air doctrines. And you see that in the previous turns, we went through our recon list here, and in each of our air armies, we changed the minimum weather conditions to poor, which when the weather condition is just cold, that will then trigger these recon air groups to fly specific sorties. And remember, we do have the AI air assist on, so the computer is actually going to say, hey, this group of airframes, you're going to fly to this hex as your target area, and from there, this search pattern grid is what you're going to use for your recon mission. And it schedules and manages the pilots, the airframes, all of it. That does. Again, I strongly recommend, if you're newer to the game, especially if you're newer to Gary Grigsby games, just start out by using that AI assist. Don't feel bad about using it, because there is so much to learn about this game, that if your first turn takes you 20 hours to get through everything because you're constantly checking the manual, you're very quickly going to say to yourself, this isn't a game anymore. And even though these simulations of Gary Grigsby games can be very intense and sometimes don't feel like a game, there's a balance there, right? It's like War in the Pacific is always kind of the ultimate one for me in this series, where I look at it and I go, it's probably the longest I'll ever spend on any one turn for any game, and there's probably more turns than any other game I can think of. But if you manage it correctly, and if you don't overwhelm yourself, if you don't try to do it all in one setting and all of these things, it still is very enjoyable, and that's when you're going to get fun out of the game, when you're not pressuring yourself to try to learn everything all at once. Don't drink from that fire hose. So we turned these to poor in the previous 2 episodes for minimum weather conditions, that way they fly. We also went over and changed their intensity to low, because again, I would like to start to get some reconnaissance of exactly what is behind the German lines, where some of their movement is, and you may have noted in the past, say, 10 episodes, there have been moments of surprise for us as the German forces have moved mechanized and armor units up and down the front to counterattack where maybe we pushed a little too far, things that we didn't see because we didn't have great reconnaissance. So this is just to kind of get us started. We will eventually turn this back up to medium when we get towards those summer months. And then we have scheduled for day 2 and day 6 of each week. So kind of a beginning of the turn, end of turn, we're getting a little bit of an identification of what's behind the lines. Altitude, we didn't touch these mission escort percents and percent flies, etc. We haven't touched those either. The other thing that we did in the previous turn was we said, okay, fighters, you're up. We set minimum weather condition to all, meaning they're just going to keep flying. And we're going to keep an eye on the weather reports, and if we get really nasty weather, we'll change this back to where they do have a minimum weather setting, but for now we're going to leave it. We want them flying every day of the week. And what we saw in the previous 2 turns was the Soviet player takes incredible air losses. It is not a fair fight. But that does not last, I would say, forever. It's always an uphill battle for the Soviet player, but I'd say it certainly improves. But right now, what we find ourselves with is when we're looking at those battle results, we were going up against BF-109s, where the experience and the training of the pilots that were in those airframes was 90, 95, even 99 sometimes. Whereas you would see our average training and experience for our pilots at 40, 50. If we are really lucky, we had a couple of pilots that were at 60. And that resulted in some situations where, you know what, they threw up 20 fighters into the skies. We threw up 100 fighters into the skies. We lost 50 and they lost 4. Right? Those were the types of results we're getting. That will continue for a while, but we're going to keep throwing some of these fighters at them because they do not have an infinite pool of trained fighter pilots in that high 90s range. They simply don't. And I want to continue to degrade how many of them they have in the air, so that way in a couple of turns we can then start looking at ground attack missions, bombing cities, trying to hit infrastructure, rail lines, all these different things. I don't want to waste all the bombers on that until we have some type of fighter escort that can go with them and actually stand a decent chance of protecting the bombers. So that's the intent there. What I did go ahead and turn on off camera was for ground support. I've changed the minimum weather conditions to poor. And I don't know that we're going to use ground support a whole lot during this turn, but I have now enabled them where if we turn ground support on, we're going to start seeing a lot more airframes dedicated towards the offensives that we conduct. So this we will use sparingly because it's kind of the same concept as with the level bombers and ground attack. I don't want to rush into this until we have a better grasp of fighters 1-to-1, if you will. So let's exit out of that. I've already then configured everything kind of off camera for how I'd like it to go. I've explained to you kind of our tactics and strategy. So we're going to go ahead and execute our air directives. So we'll let the computer do that. And we're going to see sorties being run, and these are really the recon missions we're going to be doing. Once we hit day 2, you'll see this counter, right? This goes through the different days of the week. Each turn is a 7-day week. Here we see our recon missions going out. You can see them on the map running. So we've had 290 sorties on day 2. We had 35 losses. 31 were operational and 4 losses were from flak. So the operational, remember, operational doesn't mean just weather, right? It's not just, you know, I got lost in a blizzard and I crashed into a hill. Operational can also simply be, you know what, the landing gear malfunctioned, and when I landed, my plane crashed and it burnt up, and maybe the pilot escaped, maybe it didn't. Another example might be where you just have a pilot who makes a pilot error and crashes the plane. There's so many things that caused operational losses in World War II, especially for some of the militaries that just weren't as experienced and bloodied with their pilot training as other nations. Another great example of this would be kind of the approach of the Americans and the Japanese in the Pacific theater, where the Japanese threw so many of their experienced pilots right into the war, but didn't really have a great program for then getting very experienced pilots proper training before moving them out to the front lines. So then by the end of the war, you had a bunch of American aces going up against a very rookie and green Japanese Air Force. So there can be a lot of operational losses from more than just weather. Here we have a little bit of a summary of everything that went on during that air phase. And as you can see, really the majority of it is all recon. So we'll close out of that. And now we find ourselves in the ground phase. And again, we will do as we always do, start up north near Leningrad, and then work our way down as far as we can before we run out of time for the episode, and finish up the turn in the following episode, episode 39. Let's start by taking a look at some of the battles that occurred near Leningrad during the German players' phase. So you'll recall from the previous episode, we managed to push up into this hex south of Leningrad, and during the German phase, they pushed us back. It took them 4 attempts, so we held out for quite a while. This first one was not even close, so their commander probably had a very good roll and check because of their skills and said, yeah, you know what, we don't stand a chance, so let's pull back before we really take any measurable losses. Then they attacked again, and this time we halted them at 83, which is much closer. But you see, they took some pretty heavy losses when you're looking at this in terms of a ratio. In their third attempt, it was pretty similar, but they did a little better that time, and we held them out to 218. On the fourth attempt, they actually added in 2 additional divisions to the attack, and as a result, they had 35,000 men versus our 21,000. We ended up losing all of our armor, and we only managed to take out 6 of theirs, which then probably was enough to have broken through, and yeah, so we got Stug 3s here, so they were pretty heavy in those, and we had these KV-1s from a, I think we had a heavy tank regiment attached. Yeah, 3rd Guards Heavy Tank Regiment right here. That's where the KV-1Ss came from. And I think what I'm learning is I probably need to do a little bit of a better job with taking these heavy tank regiments and putting them in situations where they're a little more set up for success, not necessarily as desperation as I have been using them, where we try to plug in and add combat value to a defense, which to begin with, using armor for that purpose is often a poor decision. But I think them by themselves probably caused a lot of difficulty. These are not terribly mobile units, right? They are heavy tanks, not medium, not light. So this is my curiosity game. Let's look at ground combat here. And we see that the KV-1s, yeah, that's sad, right? We had 13 KV-1s, and they only managed to destroy 1 enemy and damage 1 enemy with an AP hit, and the AP hits were almost certainly targeted towards these Stug 3s that they had, because you really wouldn't use AP for anything else that they had in their force. For HE hits, again, very minimal, just 6 hits. That's just next to nothing, right? But I wasn't expecting this. The range is actually rather high here, where we're at 340 and 130. I was expecting these values to be much lower, as if they were rather surrounded and then taken out. And it is worth noting that 6 of them were lost during the retreat there. They were destroyed in that phase. So yeah, we ended up getting pushed back. So now we have to sit here and say to ourselves, well, one, I think it's pretty obvious we will try to just knock this unit out, right? So they don't dig in. It's an easy enough win against a third of the 72nd Infantry Division. But then I think the best way to success of trying to actually push through here, and again, the objective is not to really have some type of breakout here south of Leningrad. We don't even have an army that would be able to advance further up if we did break out. The intent is to just put pressure at multiple points to, for example, free up our units over here to be more successful in a counterattack. And we had our recon go through, and if I had to guess, I would say that down here, maybe some of the mechanized units that they actually had brought up for this counterattack against us, and they're now pulling back south to try to reinforce these areas. That would be my suspicion, but I'm not certain on it. So when we look at the actual hex that does have Leningrad, I think we're just going to take the 1st Rifle Corps as an example, and we're just going to do a deliberate attack to go ahead and push back that unit. So that was a success. So now it's our unit, our hex that we now control again. And when we look up here, I think we will... Yeah, you're actually a bit out of here, so we want to bring you over to here, the HQ, I think. Down here. Yes, we've got plenty of defensive value there. I don't think we're going to move up at all. That's just kind of asking for it, especially with the 9th Panzer still sitting over there. So then let's take a look and say, okay, we're not going to break through 20 here. Actually, that's going to give us a... Oh, okay, what's the math? 27, 21. Yeah, we're not there. That is tempting, though. Maybe in another turn. That is tempting. Anyways, where I think we'll have a better chance of success is seeing, hey, how can we break through right here? And right now we have 13 to 7, approximately. So let's see if there's not a stronger unit like this 45th Guards we can just do a bit of a shuffle with to then add to our push. I'm going to take the 45th Guard over here. Let's take these 2 units and we're going to try to push through here, and we are successful. Alright, good news, right? Then we're going to take the 198th Rifle Division and just add them to that stack for now. Now, we're not going to be able to break through here. They're very well dug in, so this is another hex where we're just going to have to kind of go around. We do find ourselves in a good enough defensive position, though, all along the line here, so not worried about that. For here, we have 21 versus their 15, so we're probably not going to... Or actually, sorry, 25 to their 15, so that's a little closer to 2 to 1, but we're not there. So we're not going to push through. Up here, do we have any units on refit? We do, and they are looking good, right? They're up to 9,000 men. So I think we might bring them down here to help with an eventual attack there. Another option, right, too, is attack right there. Do we have any more units in the rear that are ready to move up? That 1/15th maybe. Let's bring them down here. Again, we can use them to try to push through in this hex in a following turn. We're not there yet, but once those units, now that they've moved down, once they're rested, we might be able to have some luck there. Continuing down along the front line here, we've really tried to move a lot of our stronger units south to help with this breakout near Lake Ilmen. And looking at this, let's see. We're going to have 26, 28 to 17. Not quite there yet. Here we have 2 5s, and I'm wondering maybe we bring them down. So let's do another shuffle, right, where we move units down south. So I'm going to move the 310th here. And then I'm going to take the 382nd here. And the 378. Take the 376 there. And the 6th Rifle can go there. And we have plenty defending there still with that value of 10. So now in the following turn, we're going to be looking at about 35 to 16. So that gives us enough odds for at least 2 to 1. It is fortification level 3, which is going to make it tough, but I think it is still doable. Down south here, right, this is near Lake Ilmen. Do we have any battles down here? No, there's no counterattacks over here, so we're nothing to review. I'm trying to think of how we want to continue our breakout here. So one option would be to move here, but I think instead I'd rather take this entire stack and move them right here. Yeah, I think I like that a lot better. And then we will take this rifle division. Don't know. Yeah, I think we will move them there. So I don't think we get anything by being here. Well, it does connect the two forces, but that's not all. It doesn't suck, but it's not that important. Over here, look at this. We've got these rifle divisions. We can take off refit. Sorry, not reserve. Take off refit back to ready status. And then we can move them up. We'll take the entire stack. And we might have to use them as some type of breakthrough when we... Let's see now what we can attack. So here we have 18 to 11. Down here they have 35, so we're not going to have any luck here. Right here is where we're probably going to have our most luck. Kind of on this route south to Peskov, which I actually almost like that better in a way. So let's see if we can't break through here. Let's take just the 274th and the 369th. And so just right for why I made that decision, right? These two have, of the three, the lower of the movement values, which gives me more mobility than to either move this unit up or to pull it back and swap out with another stack. So let's go ahead and attack there, 2 to 1. And they're pushed back. Down here they have 6, so we're going to go ahead and just push through 2 to 1. They retreat it. Now what I want to do is take up... I think I want to move the rifle division to this hex. And now we have their HQ there. So we're going to move up this entire stack. And let's attack their HQ. I think we're going to do 2 attacks. We'll attack here and we'll... Yes, let's attack here first. So we routed them, right, because they had 2 losses, and then now we're going to attack here. Oh, don't have enough. Okay, that's fine. We'll work through this. So I want to take the 200th, and then this 253rd, right, the one that had the higher movement points we didn't use. We're going to have them attack. And we got their Dano Air Base Depot as well. Great success. And then let's take this... Oh, shoot, some of you don't have enough to get there. We'll take the 384th Rifle Division up. 22nd Guards, so you can make it 2. 370th, you can make it, so you can go. So look at this breakout we have now. Look at this on the map. This is so exciting, right? These 2 hexes, no enemy units. These 3 hexes, no enemy units. What is then just 4 hexes away? Peskov. We are getting so close. And I'm not even going to try to encircle them. I have such a build-up here. We have such a numerical advantage. All I am going to do is just push through. Because the wider I make this front, the harder it is for that German player. That is our motivation here. So let's take a look here. They have 10, 12 defensive. Here we're good. I want to try to do something here with this stack, I think, but they can't move up as far as I would like, of course. Yes, they can't go over there. So what if we instead take you there, you there, you can come up here. Don't know if I want to entertain that hex. Yeah, I think we will. So we moved up there. And we'd actually taken these off the line, I think, if I remember correctly. We're just going to keep holding there. And you're on refit, so you still need to keep staying on refit there. Up here, that rifle division can stay. Can we push through with these? It's almost 2 to 1. Give it a shot. Let's do it. No? No, they held. Probably shouldn't have. But now we got some intel, right, of what they have here. So they had 70 armored fighting vehicles. Let's see what types. Okay, so Panzer IV, Panzer IIIs. That doesn't look like the same number, so let's look at ground combat. Maybe that does add up towards 70. Feels like it's off, but maybe it's not. 23, yeah, that doesn't add up to 70. Curious then what didn't they deploy? So what I kind of wanted to know is, does the 19th Panzer Division have any Tigers? Right? So if it does, then I might start to look and say, okay, well, at the very least for that Panzer Division, next time when I attack, I want to make sure that we have heavy guards, tank elements attached, right, to be able to counter the threat of the Tigers. Looking down here, I think we might take this 375th. Can I really not get any of these guys any further? Can't. I'm going to take the 375th. I'm going to move them down here because I think they're going to be more useful in breaking out in this direction towards Peskov. This is going to cause them such headache trying to defend that. That is going to be so difficult for them. Over here, they're on refit. Not going to do anything here. But we do have enough to hold that line. All along here, we have enough to hold the line, it looks like. So that's good news. Now let's see where we attack next. Actually, now that we're kind of in the Adritsa pocket, headed that way at least, let's see if there was anything we need to recap in terms of counterattacks. There was not. So then where do we want to push? Now I have more of a preference to push south, not here in the north pushing west, right? Because the goal is Adritsa, then Rezekny, excuse me. What, I don't know why I'm saying excuse me. I'm still probably pronouncing it wrong, but at the very least in my head I feel like I pronounced it wrong. I think we could maybe go in one of these 3 hexes would probably be our best spot for a breakout. But I don't know that we actually do have enough to do so. Because here we're just at 12. Here we can only attack with the 1 hex. So we might just have to hold here. And okay, yeah, looking at some of these units, like they're high 50s in terms of fatigue, 56, 50. It probably is best that we just hold a turn or 2 there, right? Let's not get too carried away. So then, yeah, what can we do down here by Adritsa? I absolutely love that they have the 18th Panzer sitting here waiting for me to attack. This should be good. So we're going to take back this artillery because we obviously don't need that there. And then we're going to take... I want to take one of the strongest tank corps that I have. I think it might be the 7th Tank Corps, even though they're just a little lower on supplies. Yeah, let's move you. What about you, the 2nd Tank Corps? What is your composition? Because you have 186 armored fighting vehicles. So it looks like you have SPs as well as T-34s. Does the 20th Tank Corps have that? No. Yes, the 20th Tank Corps here only has T-60s and T-34s, no SPs. So yeah, we're going to take the 7th Tank Corps up. And I'm going to then assign to them if there's anything available. And there is. I think we're going to assign the 171st Separate Tank Battalion. And the 45th Tank Battalion. And AA. Actually. Yeah. Here your supply is low, but we're still going to use you. And let's attach to you tank battalions. To you, we are going to attach AA. Over here, you are all part of the 3rd Shock Army except for you. So let's see. You already have a Rifle Brigade attached to you. Over here, 1st Shock Army. Oh, I want the Rifle Corps, I think. Let's attach this Tank Brigade. I want to crush. I want to inflict as much damage as possible on this 18th Panzer Division. There are not many times that we're going to have 53 to 12 in terms of combat ratio. So let's do it. Retreat it. Took out 77 armored fighting vehicles. Yes, please, and thank you. Let's see how that went. Oh, Nashorns. Okay, so the Nashorn was another German SP, kind of like the Stug 3 we've been looking at, kind of like the Martyr 2, etc., except the Nashorn was a open canopy, larger caliber gun. It wasn't an enclosed unit like some of the others, like the Stug 3 was. And yeah, our T-34s just flooded the field of battle. And they lost 40 Panzer IIIs. I really wish they would have lost more Panzer IVs, but actually, yeah, their Panzer IVs are at less than half TOE now. Yeah, they're all less than half TOE. So let's look at ground combat to see what did the most here. So it would look like the T-34 1941s, that's right here, had 23 armored piercing hits. 11 of those hits destroyed an enemy. 5 of them damaged. The second most successful, and I'm a little surprised by this, is the T-70 with 8. Maybe that was against like the Panzer IIs that they had and the Panzer IIIs, because that's kind of their equivalent. And I'm a little surprised at how ineffective the Su-122s were in the Su-76, because they certainly were up there and in range if they're firing at 26 and 40 distance, but they just didn't contribute as much as certainly I would have liked to have seen. Let's take a look too at the gun platforms to see if we had any anti-tank guns that were rather successful. The 45mm had 6 hits. Okay, so not too much there. Whereas their PaK-38 AT guns and their, yeah, it looks like the 88s there, right? They use those for anti-tank. So, okay, what a battle. What a battle. Oh, yeah, let's look at air combat too, actually. So here we see rather similar, right? We lost 61 airframes. They lost a total of 12. 10 of them were ground support that it looks like they employed. We chose not to turn ground support on. We certainly could have, but I have known how effective in the Dritsa pocket their fighters have been. I think where they have more of their inexperienced fighter pilots are in the south of our front line. So you may see then in the next episode us use the ground support feature, maybe a little more than we do up north here. And when it comes to air combat, this is what I was talking about. Look at this, guys, 96, 97, 96. This is those same groups we were looking at in the 2 episodes ago. And then we are in the 50s, couple of 40s, couple in 60s. Just brutal. The LASFs, they had 2 kills. Yak 1s had 3 kills. That's not surprising. 3 kills, 7 losses. That's actually a pretty good ratio, given the total number, right? And most of their losses were their ground support, right? But we managed to take out 2 fighters, so those would have been right here. These BF-109 G2s are what they lost. And yeah, so you see that's 2 pilots with a skill level of 94. I'll take it. I will absolutely take it. Good job. And we are not going to move into that hex. It's not going to happen. I'm not going to open myself up to that type of counterattack, even though I now know that the 18th Panzer Division is at half TOE, if that. We're not going to go there, and we're not going to do it. Here's some good news, though. Our 5th Army and our 4th Guards Army, it looks like they have all recovered some of their fatigue. Maybe not all of them. Actually, some of them looks like the issue is supply. But we can take some of you up. So let's do what we want to do here. I'm going to take this entire stack and take them off the line, I think. I'm going to move all of them back here. And then I'm going to take like this 381st Rifle Division that was on refit, right? But now it's in a good status. I'm going to move them up to the front. And then I'm going to take the 273rd Rifle, just part of the 4th Guards Army. I'm going to move them up too. So that now gives us about 17 defense value, which outnumbers them 2 to 1 already. And then we're also going to take up, the 20th Tank Corps. And let's then see if we have enough to be able to break through here. It's 2 to 1. Let's do it. They managed to hold. We took some pretty heavy losses, my goodness. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to move the 260th Rifle Division up. We're going to move the 2nd Tank Corps up. I'm thinking about maybe taking the 6th Rifle Corps if they haven't. No, they don't have enough to move over there. So we're going to have to take like the 120th maybe. Might have to take the 120th down there. Yeah, let's do that. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is, I know I was just talking about how they're strong with their fighters up here, so we didn't have ground support on. I really want to break through that hex now. So we're going to toggle ground support on. You see that up here, that it now shows us that. And we're going to take these units. Oh, no, that's not enough. I can't do it with just that. So let's take back that Tank Corps. Move up the 6th Artillery. And I don't think we're going to be able to. So that just means we're going to have to be defensive here, which opens us up because now it's 20 to 9. So let's see what we can attach to try to help the situation. What does the 4th Guards have? We're going to add an AA battalion because they've been using a lot of ground support up here. And then I think we will attach this heavy tank regiment because they still have the Panzer Division there. And then this Tank Corps. We're also going to attach some anti-air. I was really thinking with the Tank Corps we'd have enough to be able to kind of push through there. But I think a lot of these infantry units were just too exhausted. What if we... Can we take one of you back? And then move up another Tank Corps? Maybe we do that. So let's take you, the 381st Rifle Division. Yeah, and you're only adding 3 to the defensive value, so that's fine. And maybe I want to take a Tank Corps from back here. Maybe I don't have a Tank Corps to take from back there. I have this Mechanized Corps. Looks pretty nice. Let's take them up here. Okay, now what happens? You know what, we're going to do it. I really want to break through here. We're going to do it. And it was a good call. Look at that. Push through. We pushed through. Good. That is good news. So now that puts some pressure on them. And when we look at it here, I don't think we're going to have anything can move up there. Unless we brought up these Tank Corps, which I'm really hesitant to do. But just think about breaking through there. I might do it. Should I do it? I might do it. Can these mechanized units get up here? That's an intriguing thought. let's bring you up. And then can you make it to your friend too? You cannot. Okay. So then let's take the 3rd Guard tank corps and bring you up. And this tank corps could make it too. That really pushes them to the edge to make it up there, so I don't necessarily want to do that. Let's maybe take like the 14th tank corps and get them there. Okay. So that puts us in a tough position. But now we've taken that hex, and now we have serious pressure on Adritsa. And one of the reasons I did that too is just knowing this 18th Panzer Division is probably at about 30% TOE, right? So certainly from an armor perspective, we have them vastly outmatched here. Let's see if the 2nd Tank Army has support units we can attach. No, absolutely nothing that is of any help. What about the 1st Tank Army? Not really. We will attach, I think, this anti-tank regiment and this AA regiment. And the 5th Army has anti-air regiment. Okay. So it does something, right? Yes, that puts us at 10. That's 20, so that's 2 to 1 they have there. So they have more than 2 to 1 just if they attack with what's already there. The question is, will they? I don't know that they will. Can we attack here and break through? No, we can't. And down here, I think we just don't have enough power to push through anywhere there. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take you, move you up a little bit. This rifle brigade. Actually, really want to kind of combine you. 3rd Shock Army. Let's make a rifle corps here, I think. So we're going to take that rifle division here. We're going to merge. I don't know what was happening there. Take these guys off refit, off reserve. And then we're going to do build up. Now we have the 2nd Rifle Corps. It's 20,000 men there in that one chip. Okay. So we could move them back down here, but yeah, I think we'll move them back down. Now what we want to do is bring up the rest of the 2nd Tank Army, right? Take you guys there. This Rifle Corps can come down. Come down. Alright, so we continue to move them further south. We have reinforcements that came in there in Rzhev. So that's good. Looks like supply is a little tight for them, though. Alright, so I think our little Adritsa pocket, we didn't have too much excitement here, but we took out 2 hexes, and we are on the border of Adritsa. That is exciting news. Really wish we had... Is there just anything that can get down there? I don't think there is. Really would love to, though. To be able to just push through. Yeah, there's nothing. Even up there. I can't. Okay, well. That's fine. That's fine. We're so close. So close to taking it. Down here, right, we kind of had this strategy of, you know what, we're not going to try to push them south directly with this army that was up here. I think I am gonna this HQ just a little out of harm's way though. Let's move you over there. We're just gonna try to cut them off, right, and see how they respond to that. And then in the rear, right, like we'll take, I think we'll take these 2 tank cores and move them up here. And then we'll toss a rifle division on top of that. Gonna have to take you off refit. I think we'll toss you there. Right, so now we have plenty in terms of defensive value to hold out against them. That rifle division we could put here. I think we'll do that. Yeah, we need to leave you on refit, I guess. That's okay. And then we're just going to see how we can move into this hex and, you know, try to start cutting them off a little, if at all possible. So this entire stack here, can they move up? They can't, probably because the 251st. No? So none of them can make it there. And we don't quite have enough, I think, to hold that hex. We're not going to do that. Yeah, you know, I'm going to leave this just as it is. And what I'm going to do is just keep pushing here behind them, I think. I think that's the plan. The absolute worst case, right, is they keep pushing north. They try to cut off this rail line. Okay, then I will take this army that we have here, this 5th tank. Oh, my goodness, forgive me, guys. This 5th Guards tank army. And we'll have them cut them off. On that note, let's actually do a little bit of that HQ management here to get that taken care of. So we're going to assign you to the Kalinin front. And then we're going to assign you guys to 5th Guards Tank Army. I'm just using the shortcut for the nearest HQ kind of auto assist option to make it a little faster. Yep, put you there. Go. Okay. And like I said, supply looks like it's a little tight here. So let's see. Yeah, so there's where the depot is. Is that where they're getting supplied from? Well, I guess they haven't gotten supplies yet, right? So let's move the HQ unit there. You can go there, you can go there. Okay. Just made a couple of stacks, right? And then I think in the following turn, we're probably just going to wait a little bit. In the following turn, we'll move you guys down south a little. But for now, you can stay there. I almost forgot, I think we have a... Nope, it's not our rail. It's the HQ rail repair. So that's fine. Looking down here, I guess we could maybe move you guys south. Yeah, I think I might do that. And then you, I'm going to move up here to help strengthen this unit. Yeah, I like that a little better. I don't think there's going to be enough there. Yeah, let's give it a shot. Let's try to push through. That infantry division committed to the defense, so it's probably not going to work. No, it didn't. But it looks like we had good enough commander, right? So we didn't commit ourselves. We withdrew pretty early. The shocking thing to see, though, was look at those air losses. Oh my gosh, guys. 78 losses compared to their 5. That's unbelievable. And look, right? Only one of their losses was from air to air. Whereas we had all of these losses in air to air. That's awful. Just awful. Okay. They don't have any counterattacks that they did in and around Smolensk. And I actually think what we might have to do is say, okay, Smolensk is a good stopping point for this episode. and then we'll finish up the rest of the ground combat through episode 39. As a reminder, Tuesday, we're going to have a new scenario of War in the East 2 series launch, so stay tuned for that. And I think that'll be a lot of fun to mix it up and have content on 2 different scenarios, right? Because right now, I think it'd be good to have kind of alternating every day here. All right, in this one, we're looking from Stalingrad to Berlin, and this other one, you see, I almost let it slip there what it is, but I'm not going to. I'm really looking forward to that, and again, to just kind of test myself in my own skill set that I've learned from playing this scenario and learning with you guys in the comments and in the forums of how to be a better player of this game. So I think it'll be quite the test, quite the challenge, not picking an easy scenario, and we'll see how it goes. So with that, I want to thank you guys, as always, for giving the video a watch, giving the series a watch, supporting the channel. Should you have any questions, comments, or feedback, as always, please leave them in the comments field, and I will do my best to answer them. And with that, wishing all you strategy gamers a great day. Bye now.